My sweet one, there you are. You look so tired tonight. Those heavy eyes. That quiet little sigh. Oh, it reminds me of nights long ago when I'd tuck my children into bed. Yes, yes. Hush now. Sit close by the fire. I'll tell you a story. But not just any story. This one is different. Have you ever been on the road late at night, driving past dark fields, the headlights catching nothing but endless lines of fences and trees? It can feel so lonely, can't it? The world seems to fold in on itself, and you begin to wonder if you've gone in circles. That's how it always begins. There is a place, a motel, out on one of those roads. You won't find it on a map. You won't even notice it if you pass by during the day. But when the sky is black and the air feels heavy, when you're too tired to go on and your mind starts playing tricks, oh, that's when it shows itself. The sign is crooked, buzzing faintly, half the letters dead. Sometimes it says motel, sometimes only tell, sometimes nothing at all, but still, you feel it calling. A little place to rest your weary head, and you'll stop because you'll think it's harmless. Just a night, just a bed. That's what I thought, too. The clerk was waiting at the desk when I stepped inside. A thin man with a tired smile, eyes dark as oil. He didn't ask for my name. Just slid a key across the counter. The tag was brass, scratched and worn. Room 6. He said, "Dud." I remember the way his voice trembled on the word 6, as though he didn't want to say it. But I was so tired I didn't care. The rain was coming down in sheets, the kind that makes the world look blurry, unreal. I only wanted warmth, dryness, sleep. The hallway smelled of mildew and something sharper iron. Maybe the carpet squished under my shoes. Though I saw no leaks, my footsteps echoed too loudly, as if the walls leaned closer with every step. And then I found it. Room 6. The door opened stiffly, groaning like something in pain. The air inside was stale, heavy, like a room sealed too long. Faded curtains. A bedspread pattered with dead roses. A lamp with a crooked shade. Ordinary things, but wrong somehow. Too still. I set my bag down, sat on the edge of the bed, and listened. The walls seemed to breathe. Do you know what it's like to feel a house or a room notice you? To feel its attention settle heavy as a hand on your shoulder? That's what it was like. But I told myself it was just exhaustion. I curled up on that stiff mattress, pulled the thin blanket over me, and closed my eyes. And when I woke, something was gone. I couldn't place it at first. I stood there in the weak morning light, staring around the room, brushing my hair with shaking fingers. My bag was there, my clothes, my purse, everything as it should be. But when I tried to remember where I had been going, nothing. The entire reason for my journey gone like smoke. I laughed nervously at myself, tried to push it aside. You're just tired, I whispered. A good breakfast, a cup of coffee, and it'll all come back. But it didn't. When I left the key on the desk, the clerk wouldn't meet my eyes. His hands shook as he slid it back into the drawer. And when I asked if the cafe down the road was any good, he only said, "You shouldn't stay here again." Then he turned away, as though he hadn't spoken. But I did stay again. You see, that's the strange thing. No matter how unsettled you feel, no matter what you forget, some part of you longs to go back. And I did. Not right away, no. But weeks later, when the nights grew long and restless, when my own bed felt foreign and my dreams were full of static and whispers, I found myself driving. My hands turned the wheel before I realized where I was going. And when the neon sign flickered in the dark, my chest ached with both dread and relief. The clerk was waiting. The same key, the same trembling smile. Room 6. Always room 6. The second night was worse. I lay in that bed, staring at the ceiling, listening to the hum of the walls. There was a mirror bolted to the wall opposite the bed, wide and cracked faintly in the corner. The glass shimmered as though it were breathing with me. I closed my eyes, told myself not to look. But sometime in the dark hours, I felt it that tug. When I opened my eyes, the reflection was not mine. It was me. Yes, but older. My hair gray, my skin lined, my eyes dim. She lay in the same bed, in the same position, smiling faintly, as though she were waiting for me to notice. And then she blinked. I ran out the door, down the hallway, through the night. Rain pouring again, gravel crunching under my shoes. I didn't stop until the motel was gone behind me. But in the days that followed, I noticed more missing. Names, faces, whole moments of my childhood gone, and in their place, silence. A silence that stretched and whispered, filling the holes with something not mine. You're looking pale now, my sweet one. Are you listening closely? You should. Because the story doesn't end there. Not for me, and not for anyone who's ever stepped into room 6. No, it goes much deeper. The motel. It doesn't just take your memories, it keeps them . And sometimes, when you sleep long enough, you don't just lose pieces of yourself. You wake up as someone else. Ah, you're still here, my dear. Good. Some listeners drift away when the story grows heavier. But not you. You're braver than most. Now. Where was I? Ah, yes. The second night? The nights when things truly began to unravel. I told myself I'd never return. After all, who would? A place that steals pieces of your life. A place that shows you things you cannot bear to see. Any sane person would turn the other way. But sanity is a fragile thing, my dear. And memory is even more fragile. You see, once you leave that motel, the world outside doesn't feel quite the same. You wake in your own bed, but it feels borrowed. You sit at your own table, but the chairs seem unfamiliar. You look in the mirror, and for just a moment, you wonder if the reflection will keep moving when you stop. And so, against all reason, you long to return. That's what I did. I don't remember making the choice. I only remember the road. The endless line of trees, the faint hum of that crooked neon sign in the rain, as though the motel had pulled me back, whispering my name. The clerk was there again. Always there. His tired eyes flicked up at me, and I swear they held pity. But he said nothing, only slid the same key forward. Room 6. Always. Room 6. The hallway was darker this time, though no bulbs had gone out. The carpet sucked at my shoes, damp and spongy, as though something underneath wanted to keep me from reaching the door. And the door itself, it groaned in protest, like it knew what I was about to do. Inside. The room had changed. The curtains were not the faded blue I remembered, but yellow, though stained and curling at the edges. The bedspread was patterned with stars, not roses. For a moment I thought I had been given the wrong key, but the number on the door was the same. 6. Always. 6. I sat on the bed, trembling, and whispered to myself, "It's only a room, nothing more." But the room was listening. I could feel it. That night, when sleep came, it was shallow, broken. I woke to the sound of voices in the hallway. Not footsteps, not the shifting of other guests, but low murmurs, rising and falling like a chant. I pressed my ear to the door. The carpet was damp under my bare feet, soaking through to the skin. The voices were closer now, but when I dared to look through the peephole, the hallway was empty. Still, I could hear them, dozens of voices whispering, humming, sighing. Some sounded like children, some like old men, and one voice, very close, spoke my name. I fell back onto the bed, heart hammering. I pulled the blanket to my chin, as though thin cloth could protect me. And across the room, in the cracked mirror, I saw movement. It was me again, the older me. But she wasn't lying in bed anymore. She was standing right behind me. And she leaned down, so close I swore I could feel her cold breath on my neck. Her lips moved silently in the reflection. I couldn't hear the words, but I didn't need to. I knew what she was saying. Stay. When morning came, I stumbled from the room in a daze, my hair tangled, my eyes wild. The clerk didn't look up this time, didn't even ask for the key. His hands were folded tight on the counter. White knuckle dodge. I drove away as fast as I could, gravel spitting beneath my tires. The world outside was blindingly bright, the trees to green, the sky to blue. It all felt wrong, like a painting of a life I couldn't quite step back into, because something else was missing. This time, I couldn't remember my own birthday. The number, the month gone. When I closed my eyes and tried to summon the memory, I felt nothing but the echo of that motel room. And worse, when I passed my reflection in the store window later that day, the older woman was still there, watching me, smiling faintly. I thought I could resist, that if I stayed away long enough, the pull would fade. But it didn't. You see, the motel doesn't just erase. It replaces every memory it steals. it fills with something else. A shadow. A whisper. A longing dot. And soon enough, I was back on the road. The third night was different. The clerk wasn't at the desk. The key was already waiting, lying on the counter. The tag gleamed faintly in the dim light. 6. I didn't want to touch it, but my hand moved on its own, curling around the brass, warm from some hand that had held it moments before. The hallway stretched longer than I remembered, doors lining either side. I thought I saw one open slightly, just a crack, a pale hand slipping back into the dark. But when I looked again, all was still. Room 6 was waiting. Inside, the air was heavy, metallic. The curtains were red now. The bedspread striped. And on the nightstand lay a single photograph, though I had never seen it before. It was me, standing in front of the motel. But the date scrawled on the back was 20 years in the future. That night, I dreamed, or perhaps I didn't. I was standing in the hallway, but all the doors were open. Guests stood in every room, but they weren't guests at all. They were reflections, copies, their movements just slightly out of sync, their eyes hollow and glistening, and every one of them turned to look at me. When I woke, the mirror across the room was no longer cracked. It was whole gleaming. And in it, I saw not one reflection, but dozens, standing behind me, crowding close, all of them smiling. Dotto, my dear, I should have left then. I should have fled and never returned. But do you understand now? The motel doesn't let you leave. Not truly. It lives in you once you've stayed. It whispers in your sleep. It waits in every shadow dot. And every time you forget something, a name, a face, a moment, you'll wonder, did the motel take it? Or did you give it away just for one more night? Ah, you're still here, my brave little one. Most would have drifted away by now, too uneasy to hear the rest. But not you. You sit so still, leaning close, eyes wide like a child listening by candlelight. Good. You must listen, because the story grows darker now. And once you've heard it, you can't unhear it. Do you remember what I told you about that photograph? The one left on the nightstand in room 6? My face, my smile, my body standing before the motel, dated 20 years from now. It haunted me. 4 days afterward, I carried it in my pocket. I ran my fingers over the glossy surface until the edges bent and curled. I studied the faint details, the shape of the trees behind me, the cracks in the parking lot pavement, the half-dead neon sign buzzing overhead. It was all so real. And I knew that one day I would be there, that the photograph wasn't a lie, but a memory the motel had planted, a memory yet to come. The days blurred together. I forgot more. My neighbor's name. The street I'd lived on for 20 years. The sound of my father's laugh. All gone. And always, the reflection followed. The older woman. My shadow self. She grew clearer as I grew dimmer. Her smile sharper. Her gaze heavier. And when she raised her hand in the mirror, I felt my own fingers twitch. It wasn't long before I returned. Not by choice. At least, not one I understood. My car turned onto that long road by itself. My foot pressed the gas without my command. I was only a passenger by then. The motel was waiting, the crooked sign glowing faintly through the mist. But this time, there were cars in the lot. Old cars, covered in dust and leaves, their tires flat, their windows fogged. Some looked as though they hadn't moved in decades, and yet each had something inside. A purse, a coat, a pair of shoes, neatly placed in the passenger seat, as though the owners had simply disappeared. The clerk was not at the counter this time. The lobby was empty, the bell tarnished, the ledger open to a blank page. But the key? Oh, the key was waiting, not on the counter, Dot, in my hand. I don't know when it appeared, or how. One moment, my palm was empty. The next, the brass tag dug into my skin. 6. Always 6. The hallway smelled worse than ever. Mold and rust and something sweet, cloying, like rotting fruit. The carpet squelched, the wallpaper peeled in strips, curling like skin in a fire. And yet, the doors were all closed. Silent, except for mine. Room 6 stood open, just a crack, and beyond it, the faintest whisper, calling me in. The room had changed again. This time, the curtains were gone entirely, leaving the window bare. The glass showed only darkness outside, though I knew the lot should have been lit by that crooked sign. The bedspread was black, plain, the sheets tucked too tight, and on the nightstand, where the photograph had been, there was something else. Journal, The cover was cracked leather, the pages yellowed, and inside, writing. But not mine, no. These were the words of others who had stayed, guest after guest, their shaky scrawls filling the pages. I can't remember my daughter's name. It took my wedding day. I woke up and the man beside me wasn't my husband anymore. I looked in the mirror and she was already there. She smiled at me with my teeth. Page after page of confessions, ramblings, pleas. And at the very end, in faint ink, a single line. Do not fall asleep. But of course, I did. The bed pulled at me, heavy as lead. My eyelid drooped, though I clawed at them with my nails. My body sank deeper into the mattress, as though the sheets themselves were swallowing me whole. And when I dreamed, I was not in the bed anymore. I was in the hallway. The doors were open again, every one, and from inside each room, someone stepped out. But not people. Not truly. Copies. Shadows. Their faces too familiar, my old teacher, my childhood friend, my mother, all standing silent, all moving just a breath out of sync, like puppets tugged by unseen strings. And at the end of the hall stood the clerk. Only this time, his eyes were not tired. They were empty sockets, black and glistening. He raised his hand and pointed to me, and in that instant, every reflection turned its hollow gaze upon me. I woke screaming, The mirror across the room was whole again, gleaming, polished. But I was not alone in it. Behind me stood dozens, no, hundreds of figures. My doubles, my shadows, all smiling faintly. And in the very back, almost lost in the crowd, was you. Yes, you, my dear. Don't look so startled. Of course you were there. The motel shows everyone. Sooner or later, every soul it touches. And it has touched you now, hasn't it? I fled again. Of course. I always fled, but it never mattered. Because each time I left, I was less of myself, less of my life. And the reflections were more. And even when I wasn't there, I heard them. In the rustle of curtains, the groan of old wood, the hum of lights, the whispers followed me, threading through the air like spider silk dot. And always, they said the same thing. Stay. Ooh, but my sweet one. The story goes deeper still. Would you like to hear what happens when you finally stop leaving? When you give in, when you stay the night, and you don't wake up as yourself anymore?